Hey guys, it's Kayleen here from Startup Creative, and today I really want to talk about the topic of change, how and why it's so bloody hard, and why so many people don't do it and just stay doing what they always do. So I often have this conversation with a lot of coaching clients of mine. So as a business coach, I'm going to talk about this from a perspective of changing careers, because that's what I deal with day in, day out, of people who come to me and say, I want a new job, I want a new business, I want to start a business, I want to turn my passion into a career, whatever it might be. So often people come to me with that question and say, I've got this idea for a business, what should I do, where do I start? But you can apply this or, use these strategies or reflect on this, whether it be your relationships, your bank balance, your spirituality, your lifestyle, whatever it is, right? So here's my theory on change and why it's so hard and not everyone can do it. The first thing is that when we change often comes out of pain, right? So pain, resistance, friction in our lives often makes us to stop and go, why is this hurting? Why is this happening to me? What's going on? When we feel that, then we actually start to look around and go why is life not easy? What's going on here? And it's a bit of an indicator for us. Some people experience that pain and go, great, I'm gonna change, I'm a doer, I'm gonna look at life differently, what needs to shift here? It shouldn't be this hard. Some people run the patterns over and over again and stay in their shit, stay in their pain, stay in their victim mentality and go, life's tough, poor me, right? So eventually, probably they will come to a place of going wow, this needs to shift, something needs to change. If not, then they're more than likely going to manifest illness or sickness or a breakup or something that's going to really shift them into a deep change. But if you're wise enough and if you take time out to stop, reflect, and not numb yourself or distract yourself with noise or partying or social media or, unhealthy relationships, then you'll actually start to go, why is this pain here? And most of the time it's because what is in our life, what we've accepted, what we're living out is no longer serving us. And it is not aligning with who we are as people, and the desire that we have for our life. So obviously we're always growing and evolving, and we outgrow certain relationships, careers, circumstances, conditions in our life. So it makes sense that no longer serves us. If we stayed the same, we would never grow, we would never evolve, life would be boring, right? So the idea is that when we feel this pain, we then start to look outside for something new. What else is out there? What's available for me? A lot of what I believe the pain comes from social media is that we're feeling some discomfort in us about our lives and the way that we're living. When we pick up social media and we start scrolling through other people's lives, it kind of accentuates the pain, because we're like, fuck, look how great their life is. Look what they're up to, right? So we start to look outside and we start to get FOMO and envy and jealousy, and we're just like, I don't want this is what I've got and I don't want it anymore. So we start to look outside. Social media can be really beautiful. I personally love Pinterest, because I look at Pinterest and go, what do I want? What is possible for me? What's my dream house gonna look like? So you can also use it for good as well. So most of us will actually then go, okay, looking outside of this, because what I have is no longer serving me. I'm going to start looking outside, and we go, what is possible? And we start to dream into what we really, truly, deeply want for our life. And some of us will get business coaches and say, hey, I have this idea. Can you help me make it possible? Some of us will go to our partners or our loved ones and say, hey, what do you think about this? I'm thinking about doing that. Some of us will just jump in and do it. And I'm definitely that person where I'm just like, I'm gonna try this now. My mum's like, slow down, Kayleen, you move too quickly. So there's all different ways we do this. And some people do it in a split second. Some people do it over 5 years. Whatever is right for you is right for you, and don't overthink it. But you start to look at what else is possible and really dream into, okay, if this isn't serving me, what would I want? What do I desire? What is the new paradigm for me? And we start to really dream into it. And so we most of the time we'll take action into that space. So if we're talking about career and business here, what most people will do then is maybe they'll test it out. So let's just say You're over here, you're working in a corporate job, and you go to an office, you're doing 9 to 5, you sit at a desk, your whole environment's grey, you're a lawyer, you're in meetings all day, you're typing on notes. But what you really love to do is make soap, and you really want to make handmade soap, and it's over here, and you want to be at market stands, and you love the smells, and you love getting messy with your hands, and you love what it feels like when people receive it and go, oh my God, this is beautiful, thank you. So that's the new paradigm for you, right? That's the exciting part. So perhaps the first thing you do is give some soap. You make the soap in your spare time, and you give it to a friend for their birthday. And you get this really beautiful feedback. Wow, this is beautiful. It's the best soap I've ever had. It smells so good. It feels so good on my skin. And you start to go, oh, maybe this is possible. You know, maybe I can work for myself. Maybe I could make soap for a living. Like, I love making soap. I'm so happy when I'm making soap. I dread Mondays in the legal office, right? So we get this little feedback loop. Some of us will then go, okay, what's possible here? And maybe we're met with the right people, like whether that's a coach or a partner or a mentor or a friend that says, yeah, I think you should really go for it. Like, why not? What have you got to lose? You know, let my wage cover the bills or whatever. Like, you know, who cares? You don't have to be a lawyer if you don't want to be a lawyer. Do the soap thing, you know, that's what life's all about. So we'll start to like really play in that, and we'll dive deeper, and we'll go deeper, and we get more and more feedback. We take our soap to the markets on the weekend, and we sell $1,000 worth of soap, and we're like, wow, this is amazing, you know? And you're starting to then step into the new paradigm. So the old paradigm's here, you're still kind of going to 9 to 5, but you're selling soap on the weekends. So you step into this thing, and this is what I so often see with coaching clients. They come to me and they go, hey, I've got this idea, this is what I want to do, this is my passion, you know, or this is where I'm going, and this is the new vision, right? And we dream it, and we see it, and we start to go, well, what do we need to do? Like, what markets do you want to be at? And we really start to set that intention. And then they get dragged back into the safety of the old. So remembering that, let's just say, you know, I'm 30, I've been anchored into 30 years of the old. That's all I've ever known. I've known, you know, 9 to 5, I've known being a lawyer, going to university. So I've had years and years of conditioning of this old paradigm being rooted in your nervous system, in your conditioning, in your environment, in how people relate to you, in the lawyer. So being over here in the new paradigm has maybe like 1 or 2 roots of, yeah, 10 people brought my soap and my mum loves it, right? So of course, it's gonna be easier to wanna resort back to the old paradigm when it gets hard, it gets scary, or you miss a feedback loop and you don't get, you know, you only make 5 sales one weekend at the markets, or, you know, there's a big bill comes in or something like that. So it makes sense that you are going to want to resort back to safety and what you know, because your whole nervous system is actually wired to that. What I often find with people is that this is often a loop that goes on and on and on. And what we're going to talk about is actual real change and breaking that habit, because it's totally fine to go, oh, maybe I should go back to safety and let's do this. Because I'm definitely not about people being in financial hardship or jumping out into the unknown if they're not prepared or they're not properly set up. They're not ready for that. They're not emotionally stable enough for it. Absolutely not. So it's totally normal for you to come back and condition and consider your old paradigm, or to maybe just like not jump out of the boat all in one go. So it's fine. It's normal if you're there and you're going back to it. That's absolutely fine and normal. What I think needs to keep happening is that you keep coming back to the new, and knowing that the new is hard and it's different and it hasn't been done before, and you're rewiring yourself to actually accept that the new is possible. So yeah, so keep coming back into that new, and know that maybe maybe it's about going, okay, well, 4 days a week as a lawyer and 3 days as a soap maker, and then maybe it's 2 days, and then maybe, you know, you finally get to this point, and this is where the breaking point happens, right? Where we break the habit and we actually dive into bringing in something completely new and actually making change in our life. Is that we eventually get to a point where we're in this cycle where we realize no longer can the both coexist. The new and the old no longer both coexist in your world. And a lot of people will notice this, and I noticed it in my own life, is that it gets to the point where you're like, you have no desire for the old. You are actually, a really bad lawyer now. You're turning up late, you're not doing your notes properly. Like, you feel really frustrated and angry, you're just like completely over it. Because you realize that this new, you've given it enough love, enough attention, you've surrounded yourself with people who've taught you and are showing you that it's possible, that you're actually starting to believe in it now. And this is dwindling away and it can no longer exist. So comes the time, and this is where the inspirational quote comes in, and this is where all of those fucking memes and all of the feel the fear and do it anyway and just start and, follow your passion, this is where they count. This is where it really counts, because you have to go then, am I going to do it? Have I surrounded myself? Have I supported myself? Do I believe in myself? Have I grown the new enough to know that there is going to be a leap? One has to die in order for the other to completely bloom. And if you're going to do that, if you really want to back yourself, which I think you actually, by this stage, you get to a point where you can only think about how you're going to make it work, because the pain of not is greater than the fear of the unknown. So you realize that there's this gap, and that's the gap. That's where you have to pull on every fucking inspirational quote you've ever heard and surround yourself with a coach or a partner or a friend or someone that says just fucking do it. And you have to train your brain and meditate every day and feed yourself with every possible positive thought that says, I can do this. I absolutely know I can do this. I've tested it. I know it. The pain and the sadness and the grief that I will feel if I don't give this a proper shot is way greater than the fear of the unknown. And it's still unknown because you've still been anchored over here. Maybe this has been a 12-month process of going in and out of the new and the old, but you come to this point where the both can no longer coexist, and you're gonna have to take the leap. And that's where change happens, and that's where people turn their passions into career. Because it's not an easy thing to do. There's gonna come a time where it's gonna be risky and scary, and there's gonna be a lot of unknowns, and you will feel scared, and you may not know what's coming next. And that's when it counts, and that's where change happens. That's where people make a real difference in their lives. And I think when you finally get to that point of the both not coexisting, and you realize that the leap needs to happen, and you take that leap, that is when you can actually give 100% of your attention to your new paradigm. And when you give something laser focus, then it expands and it grows, and opportunities come out of nowhere, and abundance comes flowing in, and you're overjoyed with happiness every single morning you wake up. And your world is completely transformed, and then eventually you'll look back and go, wow, like I created the life of my dreams. And people will look at you and go, you're so lucky. And you're like, no, I've worked really bloody hard, and I've conquered a lot of fear and self-doubt, and I was brave enough to move from the old to the new because I was not prepared to settle for something that no longer served me. And now here I am, and I did it, and I will continue to do this for the rest of my life. And I guarantee you that once you do it once, you will learn the codes, and it'll be anchored in your system, and you will know exactly the process that needs to happen every single time you grow and grow and grow. So the first step might have been just like from a job to a business, and maybe then the next step is from like a business to a bigger business, or a new project, or a new client, or something outside of your comfort zone, or taking your business overseas was something that I did last year. But every single time it's the same process. You need to be prepared to let go of the old in order to welcome in the new. And in that process, there's always going to be a push and a pull. When you finally realize the both can no longer coexist, you're going to have to take the leap. You're going to have to act in the face of fear and step into the unknown. And if you can do that with absolute 100% trust in yourself, your abilities, and you're prepared to not back out, to not look backwards or doubt yourself, and keep moving in the direction of what you know is possible and what you deserve and what is new and exciting, then you will continue to grow and blossom and kill it and have success and abundance in your life. So that's my thoughts on change. That's my thoughts on moving from the old to the new. Know that it's hard, it's scary, but if you can do it, you will get great rewards. Cool.